You're listening to BleedTV, the only podcast for today's best shows and movies. I'm Zach.
And I'm Cash.
And we're a man down again. Unfortunately, Jake is what we call hugging the toilet.
Hopefully only in one way.
Yeah, really. So we really didn't want him around.
No.
You know, it is sad that we're kind of a trend where we're a man down here lately. But
it's like, 3 weeks in a row now?
I know it, but it's all right. He's sick, and we're happy he's not here for that reason, only that reason.
Yes.
So it is what it is. But tonight is Game of Thrones. This was the epic second episode of
Season 7.
Season 7, that is correct.
Good old Stormborn, which they pretty much stated the episode just with the sound effects in the opening of the episode.
Yeah, really. No joke. The director was Mike Mylode.
Oh, it's Mylode. It's Mylode. That's it.
Yeah.
He said it, marked it, and he shot it.
There you go. There you go. Guys, before we get started, we usually do it at the end of the episode, but I do want to remind y'all, a lot of the stuff we discuss on our podcast, we do from discussions with fans of the shows, fans of BleedTV podcast, different things of that nature on Twitter, Facebook, and email, and YouTube. That they talk to us, throw some theories at us. Some people have our numbers where they text us, and that's usually how we prepare our content for the podcast. Don't get me wrong, we watch it, we synthesize it, what do you want to call it? Watch 2 or 3 times and try to get as much as we can. But we love to discuss the possibilities, theories, and like that come from the people who listen to the podcast.
Because that's what makes this show so enjoyable.
Right.
Is that water cooler talking. That's why we enjoy doing it.
Absolutely. So don't forget BleedTV podcast at gmail.com. There's BleedTV podcast on Facebook. My profile for the podcast is Zack BleedTV. That's where I'll try to befriend as many fans of the show and like that, so we can have an easier way to connect on Facebook. And of course on Twitter is BleedTV podcast. So don't be shy. Follow. Connect with us, whatever. Give us a like. We don't care. Just a way for us to be able to chit-chat with us for the show. But let's dive into Game of Thrones. As we said, this was the second episode. I'm going to go ahead and say my favorite episode of the 2 episodes so far this season.
Oh, tough call.
It was difficult. It took me off 12 seconds.
Oh, okay.
So don't
I'm glad you sat on it for a little bit.
Well, I didn't want to make a rash decision.
Okay.
It's important when you have this quality of television.
Yes.
But anyway...
But yeah, I saw a lot of hate on this episode throughout the internet and stuff. I had people texting me.
I felt like this conversation night is going to be really good because there was such varying opinions on different scenes that some people were like, this is the most amazing thing ever. And some people were like, it fell. Yeah. And I'm interested to talk about that because, like I said, a lot of our fans have kind of given us both sides of the sword, and we'll just dive in. So, the show. One thing I want to change and talk about is that the opening credits, I kind of did some research and read some different things and kind of watched it myself, and I'm not going to take credit that I saw it, but I do want to discuss it.
Okay, because I was like, man, bravo to you for still watching opening credits. Like,
yeah, well, the funny thing is, the first episode did a cold open, and it threw me off.
Yeah.
And I usually love to watch the opening credits to see if they shake things up, because they always do. There's always little clues. And so... This time, I went back and watched, and they said that somebody noticed the difference of how the whites and the dead will be able to get around the wall, like in the prophecy of the Hound. If you watch the opening credits, when they shows you the wall from Winterfell, the first time you see it, you see the wall, and then you see the ocean water on each side. Okay, whatever like that. And then it makes a cutaway, and then you see the water's frozen.
I'm going to have to go back and watch this.
And so if you watch it closely, you're like, and so I went back to a couple of seasons ago and found some pictures of people who have found this, and you can see it's blue water, and then the opening credits for the last 2 episodes, it's white frozen. Thus, like the prophecy, or what Hound saw, that they walk around the wall, not through it.
And man, if they're walking around the wall, that completely changes everything that we've thought
East
about.
Watch by the sea, the whole 9. So you can see where we're going to get what makes me excited about this is if this is the way it looks, we're going to get a new location for a wall battle or a stand or something different.
We won't be able to blame Bran. That's a big thing.
That's true.
And then 2, there's a lot of cool battle strategies we can do with ice.
So no doubt.
I don't know if you see the original, well, not the original King Arthur, but the King Arthur with Clive Owen and that giant ice battle. Imagine if we get something like that. You know, where you just get people just taking hammers and smashing ice, and then walkers walking underneath the ice, and we see their eyes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Part of me is like, is this going to be like a bad Pirates of the Caribbean pun? You know, I hope not. You know what I mean?
I don't think there's any way that this show's going to do
I hope not
bad.
either. I really don't. You know, it's one of those situations where I don't think Game of Thrones would do something like that. But I'm just saying that it's going to be really, really fascinating to see it go that route.
Mm-hmm.
But I could also see people bash it like that's not what they expect or where they think it should go.
I mean, 50-50. You know,
exactly.
Like some of us are going to love it. Some of us, like I've already gotten excited just thinking about a cool different thing that I've never thought about. Whereas other people, you know, they're going to be like, oh, I really wanted to see the wall crash. I'll probably be that person as soon as they're walking around the wall. But, you know, whatever.
But other than that, in the credits, I didn't see anything different, but that was a big thing, which looked totally plausible. Thus, the show has given us a hint by Hound's prophecy.
And, I mean, they've changed the opening credits for monumental things like that. Like, after the Septal stuff, like, we saw it crash. We saw Winterfell on fire for 2 or 3 seasons. It was on, so, like, that stuff matters.
Exactly. So, I think this is a big Easter egg, and kudos to who caught this because, you know, I've seen 4 articles that show pictures of this. So who knows who actually got it. So kudos to whoever, but I think it's pretty awesome.
Thank you for putting it out in the world. That's what matters.
The episode opens up with a nice little rainstorm there at Dragonstone, and we get this. One of my favorite scenes of the entire episode right from the get-go was this council.
Yes.
I think this told more about each character, and the acting was phenomenal. The testing of Varys was awesome.
Her just rattling off everything. I mean, I know like they're studying their lines and everything, but just the ferociousness, her smirks, like the facial cues that she was giving.
If you notice, this season, don't get me wrong, 2 episodes, but the last season and so on, her cunningness of not showing you her cards until the very end.
Exactly. Has gotten really so much better.
Really, really strong. And so when she was hitting him, there for a second, I was like, Varys,
yeah,
I hope you got a dagger, son.
I mean,
because you and Worm are finna go at it.
Yeah, I mean, there was some venom.
Yeah.
In her voice, like at the end of everything, like, and she worked it in, and I was like, "Whoo!"
Right. Well, for every answer he had, she had a she had a trump
another
card.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I think
she was Varys and old Littlefinger-esque. It was like she already knew his answer and was prepared with another thing to come right on top of it.
Right. Well, and credit to Varys for having good answers, and which was true. Bottom line is his secrets are his currency for life. If he doesn't have them, then he's not worth having. And so,
and like when he said, if you want blind loyalty, like I felt he could have gone a different way and it would have been a little bit more impactful, but. Like, if you want blind loyalty, I'm not your person. Go ahead and let me leave. But I think you should probably just kill everybody. Go ahead
and make me dragon bait.
Like just go ahead and kill everybody if you want blind loyalty because they're not going to give you good counsel. Like,
and I think he's right.
Yeah.
I think he's right. And I think that was the turn of the conversation. To me it was, is that, okay, yeah. I mean, if he sits there and says, oh, no, I'm truly 100% loyal, then you do kill him because he's a liar. So I give her props for that. Now, I will say the conversations between different people, Yara speaking up, the mistress from Dorne, all that stuff.
Ilaria, I think? Yeah, I think that's Ilaria Sand.
But I'll tell you this. I think it was Brian, one of our fans, who said, is that what hurt him about this scene, which it really didn't dawn on me a little bit until I watched it a second time, is that we have lost Tyrion Lannister. We don't have the smart aleck, semi-drunk, great comedy, smart ass. We don't have not even an inkling of it. Like, remember when we used to have episodes of him and Varys and they would have this banter back and forth? And I'm talking about, like, we could watch 60 minutes of this. This is just great. And so on. Think about the last episode. We had any banter with Tyrion and any character. Don't get me wrong. He's Mr. Hand of the Queen and he's all that stuff like that. But there is a part of me that misses what made him so lovable as a character.
Oh, I do really miss that, but part of the problem is he's just had no joy for the past 2 seasons. I mean, if we look back, he's had no positives. He's not getting laid. He gave up drinking. He spent 2 months in a box being shipped with just holes.
Yeah. I know, but I guess I'm ready to have a little bit of that.
Yes, and hopefully, back. After he takes Casterly Rock, which that's going to be questionable at best at this point. maybe we can get some more of that joy back, some of that wittiness.
Yes, I hope so.
But I mean, there's been no one for him to have those witty remarks with.
True. True.
And I mean, that's part of the problem.
Everybody's been on the mission, either defending yourself or on the mission. So
like we're so straight line because like we don't have that much material left.
That's right. Well, we're on the timeline's on a different pace than we can imagine.
Exactly.
So
what do you think about Daenerys' plan? So, like, do you agree with her that she should be going to just go ahead,
well,
light everything
the plan
up?
itself is that we don't want to attack and create a city of ashes, and thus you're creating a realm of fear. Just not how you want to create. You want to be an inspiring queen, not one that is throttles by fear.
Exactly.
Which is what Cersei technically is. You don't want to become your enemy. I think she's also fighting her legacy. She's a Targaryen.
Yes.
Anybody who thinks of a Targaryen, you think of the Mad King and the history that came with it, and you think about the last person who came in with dragons and what happened to the kingdom.
Just lit everything on fire, burn, and we will rebuild it.
That's exactly. So all of that in play, she's having to fight that.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of this too is that her plan is similar in the fact of you want people to love you and respect you, and that's the reason that you're the leader. But she tried that in Marine, and you see what happens.
But that was different. She had never ruled before. She didn't really have counsel. But
you have to understand, ruling where Marine was versus where, the Westeros is, that's two different animals.
Yeah.
I mean, completely two different animals.
I mean,
so even if you say you got experience from one, I wouldn't say that necessarily helps you with the other.
Well, I mean, just the ability to take a shot is like my thinking behind it. It's like, you're less scared to pull the trigger now on certain decisions. And so I think that's where it's going to help her. Right. Because she's already made that decision before, so she'll be like, it makes it a little bit easier to do it the second time, to do it the third time.
Something that was funny to me is that, okay, you know how Cersei sent a raven, to Jon?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. I know we're going to go with that. But anyway, she kneel or suffer the consequences, basically, like that. Is it surprising that Dany didn't do anything similar to this?
Well, I mean, she did send one to Jon.
She did to Jon, but she didn't send anything to Cersei or anybody else. Well, it was just Jon.
So there's a big problem with this. So where'd she get the ravens from? Stannis hasn't been there for like 2.5 years.
She does have Varys.
Okay, but they don't have the literal ravens to fly, because how they get them is they have ravens trained to go to each and every castle. Unless you left out 2.5 years of birdseed and they didn't decide to fly away.
This is a problem.
Where are these ravens coming from?
This is a problem.
So, like, it makes sense why she didn't send it to other people, but then it's like, how did she send it to Jon?
That's the issue.
Yeah.
But
the reason I can see that she didn't want to do it to Cersei is there's a good chance she doesn't think Cersei knows that she's landed on Dragonstone yet. I mean, she still just wants to siege it and take it by surprise. So to let Cersei know that you're here,
I could go with that. I guess,
and especially since you're going to be sending your ships away.
But wouldn't you want to send your? I guess is it say that it's futile to say you're going to get loyalty from people who are on Westeros when you're considered a foreigner? I guess it's just futile.
Well, I mean, she doesn't believe she's going to, but Varys thinks that they are because, remember he said...
Yeah. They hate her. Yeah.
Well, like, she's like, people are cheering my name at night, under their breath and everything. Those are the same sweet words everyone whispered to my brother. So she doesn't believe that she's going to have that. So it makes sense for her to want to stay as low-key, see if she can get help, and then make your big grand entrance with the siege and everything.
Right. I get you on that. Now, the thing that was very interesting about this War Council is that the conversation that the Queen of Thorns had at the end.
Loved it.
Where she sits down like that and say, hey, he's a clever fella, but I've outlived several clever fellas, and the whole reason why is that you be who you are. You're
to ignore him, and I thought that was weird advice.
I don't think you ignore, but I think it's twice-fold. You can say you're ignoring, but you lose your respect and your everything by just ignoring folks. But she's telling her, I think Queen of Thrones has her alternative motives. She wants Cersei to be ashes. She wants anything of her legacy to be destroyed. And this is a conversation she had after the grand plan of, we're going to take the Dornish back, get the soldiers ready. We're going to go take Castle Rock with the Unsullied and Tyrion, and then we're going to choke out supplies.
Yeah, starve them out quick.
And starve them out quick, where we're not burning everything to the ground. And which, in my opinion, is a smart plan.
It's a backfire. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where it's hard to say because now you're going to make the people suffer. Well, but it's better to suffer than die, I guess.
Well, here's the thing with that is that I think if you're wanting to, you can't have it both ways.
No.
You really, really can't. You know, I think the move of taking Castle Rock to basically sever the Lannister, the dynasty, if you want to call it.
Dynasty.
That's supposed to be the monumental moment
Yeah.
that makes people go, okay, Cersei's not worth having, and everybody turns on her. Don't see that. Choking out the capital city where people suffer, don't see that either.
No.
So I really don't think there is a way to go in there to make people feel like they're liberated and that she's the next breaker of chains and she's the one who's loved. To me, a show of power that is restrained.
Yes.
Go in there and show. It's just like when you saw at Marine, when she went out there and they blew up 3 boats with the dragons, and people were like, F this, you know, like, and deuces. Go out there and show your might and show that this is what's going to go down.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to spare your lives if you deliver me your queen.
Well, I think your best bet is to just send all 3 dragons to just blow up the castle. You know, and then you rebuild that. That way everyone knows, okay, these things are real. We can't compete with these. And then you're showing graciousness by not taking out the city and everything.
Yeah.
Well, now, sure, you're going to have 3 dragons run wild, and they're probably going to destroy a lot more than...
Again, you don't even have to destroy anything in the city. You could destroy something outside of the city and say, you know, and put it on a timeline.
No, I mean, those timeline things never work. Like,
well, I mean, if you look at people and say, you know, you go out there and you know, the capital's got ships, it has port, it has this, all this stuff like that. You can go out there and destroy something major that is not going to devastate the city, like destroy its major capital. Or
no, destroying a port's pretty
well, I'm talking about like something that's outside the Outer Banks. And that, you know, and say that, you know, shortly hereafter, we're coming in.
Mm-hmm.
It's your choice whether or not you're going to be a part of the resistance or if you want to go ahead and serve up the queen or whatever. I just don't see people going, I'm not going to face the barbecue for you. You know what I mean?
No, and I mean, part of that is no one likes Cersei. Like, I mean, why are people going to be willing to fight for her? That's a big thing.
That's what I look at. So,
but back to, you know, the Queen of Thorns, you know, her saying don't trust clever men. Like, the only reason I would side with her on that is just because Tyrion is gaining more out of this plan than anybody else. He's gaining Casterly Rock. You know, that's a very odd thing. And like, I couldn't tell.
But is he?
He's going to get Casterly Rock back.
Yeah, but if he's considered a traitor of his own homeland,
doesn't matter. He's still got the Lannister last name. Jaime can't take it because he's in the Kingsguard.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. That's a 50-50 cut.
Like, were you looking at everybody's reactions? Like when he put the like their reactions were mixed. Like I couldn't.
They
tell.
were like some people were like, and some people were like, yeah, you know, there wasn't anybody who pounced out and go, damn, that's good. You know, I mean, you know, it's supposed to be all cunning and everything. I'm gonna really tell you. I think when you see the Unsullied attack in the next episode and all that stuff, I don't see it planning how you think. You know, everybody who watched this show is expecting Daenerys to come in here and steamroll and so on. Well, she just lost a major amount of ships. And I really think the potential is that the Unsullied go over there and get slaughtered.
Well, now my question is, how did the Unsullied get there?
It's another great question.
What ships?
Well, now you got to understand. Now the Queen of Thorns and
so they couldn't. No,
Yara went with her ships and took the
Dorne
sands.
Ships. She took Dorne ships and she took her ships.
Right, but they didn't take all of them because she had to have quite an armada to carry this amount of people. They didn't take all of them. There's no way.
So you think that? I mean, I think Yara took all of hers and all of Dorn's.
Well, I think it's if Yara was transporting them back, I think it was just Yara's.
Okay.
That's the whole deal. Yara will take you back, and so on, and prepare your land troops.
I'm okay with that then.
You know what I'm saying?
And the leftover ship, like the Tyrell ships and some of the
Exactly.
other
I mean,
ships
that's you can't. Well, if there's no ships left, then we're not going to Castle Rock.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just kind of a no-brainer.
Just wasn't explained well.
Exactly. So that's how that goes. So then they go outside. We have a visitor, and it's Melisandre.
And
convenient.
So, yeah, there was a lot of things I loved about this episode because we tied a lot of things together from previous seasons. And, like, I got weird goosebumps like, oh, these people haven't met before, but they're connected to this person. You know, they're connected to this person. I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be really exciting in an episode or two. Like, so when Melisandre comes back, but Jon sees Melisandre there, that's going to be an interesting thing since he still wants to kill her.
Right. But the one thing that Melisandre said, which just made my mind go ba-boom, 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 is that she said the prince will bring dawn. That is a difference in the battle of the Night King.
Yes.
Okay. Key word, dawn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's something else in this storyline that's famous with the name Dawn?
I think there's a pretty famous sword that we harped on last year, just a little bit.
Just
yeah,
I mean,
we didn't die.
Okay, so this blew out some theories on Dawn being a key component of what takes out the Night King. And according to one or two YouTube theorists and so on, that the Dawn has been shown this season. I'm calling 100% BS.
I'm right there with you.
All right. According to the theorists, that Dawn is now in the hands of, what's his name again? I always forget. You know, the one-eyed.
Oh, Beric Dondarrion.
Dondarrion. And so on. I have watched the episode again on one. I've freeze-framed it, this, that, and so on. The Dawn that was shown in Bran's vision was very prominent, had a needle on top of it, and its guard was curved, and it was a very large-handled weapon, and so on. And then you look at Dondarrion and his sword. It does have a little nipple on top of it, but the guard doesn't look like it, doesn't carry it. And I just have to say,
no,
I don't even see the way it gets to him. You know, and because like I said, even in the books, his storyline's over a long time ago, and so they're keeping him around. But I just don't see that. And then, of course, people are like, well, you see his sword light up in flames. Well, it's not the sword that lights in flames. It's if you watch when he fights the Hound, he slices his hand, and the flame just erupts, up the blade. Now,
and
of course, when you watch the preview, the flames just suddenly appear. So it is kind of a change, but Dawn was not known for becoming a flaming sword. No. Dawn is
it's made from a meteorite.
Right. And that's another thing is that Dawn from the book looks way different than what the show shows you as Dawn.
Like, I mean, Dawn is on par with a Valyrian steel blade. Like, it's as famous as those, and it's that sharp, all of that. But it's not steel. It's made from a meteorite.
Right. It's made from meteorite, and it looks like it's glassy, veiny. I mean, it's a very, very distinctive sword, one of a kind. It's the only one ever forged from the meteor that fell. I mean, the Danes, it's passed down Dane to Dane. It has to be an honored knight and all that kind of stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, it shows Ned with the sword in hand via TV show. But that's the end of it shows. And I think that was the end of the era of Dawn when it comes to the TV show.
Like in the book, like he gives it to Aisha after he
killed, is Arthur's wife.
Which is Arthur's wife. And that's the end of the sword. No one knows where it is. We don't know if she died with it, if she hid it, what. And I don't think the sword's going to be making a comeback.
I don't think so either. And I didn't for sure. But when the Melisandre said brings dawn,
that's just part of the prophecy.
I know that, but it does make you know as well as I do. Everybody trips on every little word, every little detail. And it's just such a key statement. You know what I mean?
It really is.
So I was like, part of me wants it to be, that. But since the show didn't show Dawn for what it really was, I just don't see it being as prominent. And not only that, Arthur Dane didn't even carry Dawn.
No, he didn't fight with it. And that's the most disappointing.
So I think the only reason they showed you that was just to say, hey, book reader, here's the homage to Dawn.
Exactly.
And to my mind, it was not the best homage, so it is what it is.
But I mean, at least they showed it.
Right.
No, I'm not even going to give him that. I butchered him last year. I'm not going back on that. I'll double down.
All right, so Melisandre talks about Jon. And
Dany warmed up pretty quickly to Melisandre. Like, I know she's like, Red Priest saved us and everything.
What are they called? The Red
Priestess.
Priestesses, helped them back in the Marine. And then Tyrion coming up there and saying, I know Jon, he's a good man, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That sealed the deal.
Well, I mean, I was okay with, everyone vouching for Jon and everything because as viewers, we've seen him grow. But, like, just how quickly she dove in was okay with Melisandre. And then Miss Sandy's like, I know you two are speaking in perfect High Valyrian, but this
princess.
It was like, it could be either. And then Dany was like, I like that a lot better. And I was like, oh my God, why do you care about a prophecy?
To me, it was a little spoon feeding.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a little too much spoon feeding. To me,
it was just too convenient. It's like, let's have a little bit of struggle in this situation.
Right. Well, not only that, why go through the language lesson?
Yeah, especially when you have two people speaking it perfectly.
To me, this is her born language.
Yeah, that's what she grew up speaking.
And so on. And I don't know. To me, it's just, it's convenient. You can say, well, the wording is a little different where it could be princess.
Yeah. And now all of us are like, huh? Yeah. We've got to make this thing that much more complicated.
Exactly.
We did get the Tyrion little quip. Oh, it doesn't quite roll off the tongue that easily. I was like,
yes. One of those few moments we did get. Jon gets the Raven with the invite.
And I was thinking, it's like, how are they going to make this thing legit? She doesn't have a seal. Tyrion doesn't have a seal. He doesn't know who Daenerys is. Like, why is he going to believe
the line
this?
At the end to show that it was Tyrion and part of it was Money in the Bank.
Yep. As soon as he said, just finish reading it. And she said what is it? Bastards are all dwarves in their father's eyes, or all dwarves are bastards in their eyes. I know we loved it, and I just butchered the line, but
right. This is the second episode in a row we can't remember a fault line. This time it's your fault. That right there, was good. That was a good way to give it some credibility and so on. Of course, Sansa and Jon argue that's a trap, it's too risky, blah blah blah. And you think, in my opinion, where you are standing, we're here.
I would agree with
Sansa.
Sansa.
Become king. I'm with Sansa.
Yeah.
It's just not. Meet me in middle ground. Come to me. Something.
Send Sansa.
Yeah, send an emissary, whatever. But
like through that thing, like I'm thinking, you send Sansa, you send Brienne, a few other people. That's good to go.
Right. Now I will say, the one thing he does is that, and he's right. It's worth the risk. Is that if thanks to Sam's Raven that magically made it to Winterfell.
First try.
And that Dragonglass that's where it's at.
Yeah.
And that is the only prominent weapon you have that will work. I mean, realistically, we could stay here and be strong and die, or be valiant, or I can make a deal with the devil potentially, or go to my death, but at least it was in an effort to save you all.
Yes.
Once you put it in that situation, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. I mean, 100%, he's making the right call, but it's a lot easier for us now that we know all the information than it is for them. Like, he needs to find a way to listen to counsel better and, like, manipulate them into making it their idea.
Well, I wouldn't say that either because, like he said, I didn't want this. I didn't ask for it. You bestowed it upon me, and I'm doing the best I can. If he were to make it where he was cunning and like Littlefinger-esque, and so on, I don't think it would work.
Okay,
I think it would. Like if you're manipulating folks, that's just not him. He's just gonna call it what it is, and if you like it, great. If you don't, and I'm gonna try to explain why. And you made me king, so deal with it.
And maybe that's what that makes more sense. This isn't a democracy. As much as we want to say it is a democracy. He's king, and he's got to be able to live with the decisions he's making. And it's interesting because his struggles are so different than everybody because he's so firm in what he wants to do. And he's just like, guys, just freaking trust me and know that I'm making the right decisions.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. Again, he goes in the hall, tells everybody like that. Cersei argues with him in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sansa.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Sansa.
And
yeah.
so, and like that was another problem. It was like, they need to consult, they need to talk to each other beforehand, and we fall in the same exact plot.
Same thing situation, which don't get me wrong, I kind of enjoy the banter when they're getting after each other, but then he had a good one. Well, we're gonna leave it in your capable hands, you know.
And like I was shocked that she was shocked. I was like, how'd you not expect him to leave this to you?
Yeah, well, who would you expect to leave it to?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he could have given it to Lady Mulmore, but
yeah, exactly. Lady Mulmore. There you go. Anyway, so we go back to we're at King's Landing, and
well, did we go straight underneath to the?
No, that's later.
Okay.
I think it's later, but we can go ahead and cover it. I think is when John and Littlefinger are down in tombs
with Brandon's, Ed's brother's statue and everything. Now I know they're looking at Ned's bones because Littlefinger's talking about it, but Brandon's thing was right there.
And it leads to a conversation where Littlefinger,
creepy and pedophile.
I'm sorry, dude.
I'm done.
Bottom
with
line
this
is that yes, I loved your mother.
And I love Sansa just like I loved your mother.
You know, and I'm just like,
I was like, where's the wink, the nod, and everything? Like,
and what's crazy about this is the second time a Stark man has choked Littlefinger.
Yes.
And threatened to kill him
Actually,
over a woman.
Third. Yeah.
Because if you remember Ned in season 1, he chokes Littlefinger outside of his brothel. And then what's crazy about this scene is John's choking him in front of Ned's statue.
Yep. Against the wall and everything. Well, and Brandon choked him and almost killed him before Littlefinger was Littlefinger.
Yeah, so I mean, like the man's just used to be choking.
Yeah,
I mean,
it might be a fetish. We'll have to find through the brothels.
Well, he doesn't seem like he enjoys it, but I just, man, it's amazing he's lived as long as he has with the situation.
Oh yeah,
you know.
And I mean, 100% with John and everything. I think he should have just killed him. Like, honestly, I'm done with this Littlefinger.
Well, I'm really curious to where his character is going to become a player again.
I think
he's played out a little bit. I don't know, but see, I don't have where he goes book-wise on him.
Well, so now he's alone with Sansa, so maybe this is where he becomes a character again.
I don't think so.
But at
like
this
you said,
point,
Sansa's already said, I know what he wants, and all that crap. So,
yeah, but I mean, there's no reason for him to still be in Winterfell. And the Aryans need to be like, all the Vale people need to be like, what are we still doing here? We didn't get rewarded for saving their lives. This isn't our place. Winter's coming. It's getting cold. We need to get home and protect it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they stay here much longer, it's going to be like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I'm with you. All right. Cersei, King's Landing. We go to the house. The house is full of these lords. And, of course, Tarly is obviously the big dog amongst all of them.
Oh, yes.
Did you see the picture I put on Facebook?
My
man Derek is my hero. He texted me that, and so on, and he gave us some good information on some different things and some questions, and we'll cover those in a minute. But
I mean, that meme, like, that is top notch, because he even looks like Trump in it, and I was like, oh my god, this is too much. It was like, we need him. Like, all we needed was him on the ice wall. Yeah. Oh my god! Then we're done. Like, done. Show's over.
It's over. So this is the pitch, to all your lords, and hey, we need your help. We got the savages coming.
And she only said facts. Now she didn't put all of it in perspective and everything, like a good manipulator and everything. And I was just like, she's doing a good job. Qyburn, great master of secrets right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he isn't holding any back. Like, after hearing like how much information she's getting and working with it, I'm fully convinced Varys only gave her like 30% of the secrets. Like, he wasn't telling her anything.
Yeah. No, like I said, the more currency he had, the better chance he had of living. Jaime goes on and puts a desperate pitch on Tarly. Talking and tells him who's going to be the warden of the South, and when this is all over, and we don't want to be ruled by savages, and blah blah blah. And part of me is like, Tarly's got to look at this and go, really?
No, like, I mean, this is all legitimate. Like, Tarly, like, in the book, I know me and Jake talked a lot about it, how great of a general Stannis was, but Tarly's held in even higher regard than Stannis was. And so, really, realistically, left alive, since Tywin's dead, there's no one to even compete with Tarly. And so to say that if he can swing and have him, and then Jaime doesn't want it, and he's in the Kingsguard, So making Tarly the Warden of the South makes the most sense.
Okay. All right. Well, the show has never shown you Tarly's ability, his force, what he brings to the table. You truly have to be a book reader to know how formidable this is. The only thing we have here is Jamie's like, they all looked for you for guidance. So obviously you're the big bad fish, and all in this pond. But that's all we got to go on. You as a book reader know, evidently, this guy is the creme de la creme when it comes to
as soon as Jamie
force.
started like spit shining his shoes and everything, I was like, yes, this is making sense.
Okay,
I'm loving
well,
seeing
that's something
this.
the show doesn't give you. Because, all
I
we've
mean,
ever
he
seen him
kinda
is
says
him
he's
berate his son. You want more bread? You really need more bread,
Which also, it's a little weird that, he was able to make it down here to King's Landing, but not over to Old Town to go get his sword back. But I digress. Good to see he can make it out of the castle.
Who knows if he even knows his sword's missing?
He knows the sword's missing. Oh, and the what's your name? Dickon?
Dickon. Oh my God.
It's Rickon. Okay.
They recast him. That wasn't the same actor for the same character.
The dude was
if you remember Sam when they had the dinner with the Tarleys, it was a different guy with some curly hair. This fella right here was
like 7'2", buff. He got the little curls at the end and everything. It was like
belongs on the cover of a Gab magazine.
I mean, are you sure you're related to Sam?
Yeah, really. Have you seen Tarley here? Where did you come from? Yeah. I mean, it was a completely different actor. And like the show made a pun because they didn't get his name right.
Yeah.
Like was it on purpose?
I don't know. I was cracking up at it.
Right.
Good old
exactly.
Dickon.
Now, it cuts away for a minute, and you get to see Sam talking. And
well, do you think that it comes back to this part?
It comes back. Sam's talking to the headmaster, and it's like, about Jorah. I don't want to give up on him. There could be a cure, and such, had some cures. And he's like, yeah, he's too far gone. And by the way, the doctor that you're talking about, he died of grayscale.
I love this guy. Like, he believes in Sam enough, and then he's like, no. It's like, I don't know if he's telling him to go get his own research or just listen to me. And so I'm trying to figure out where he's trying to guide Sam, but I'm loving the fact that I'm on this path trying to figure out which way he's leaning. And I'm leaning towards he wants Sam to make his own answers. And that's exactly what Sam's doing.
Right. He's kind of nudging him, but in a unique way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of get that too. And so, and then it cuts back to Cersei again quickly, and she's brought downstairs, and she's like, "Oh, this is where the trophies were that Robert had, sent down here and stuff." And the crazy thing is we've seen a lot of these,
Arya was down here,
correct, and she hid amongst the bones and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, we get a view of a new chamber. And we get to see the skull of the big bad boy that came in. And now this one was rowed by Argon, what's his name?
Aegon. The Conqueror.
And what the show is driving me nuts is that, and maybe I missed it, and I watched it twice like that. They have the bones of these dragons.
Mm-hmm.
What brought these dragons down back then?
I don't think they've mentioned it in the... Some just ended up dying, but what eventually killed most of the dragons was other dragons. It was the Targaryen Blackfire Rebellion. So whenever I believe it was Aegon died, they passed it on to... He legitimized all of his bastards. And so then the Blackfires were wanting to stake a claim at it because they had older people than the actual Targaryens. And so then there was a huge rebellion, and of the 21 living dragons, only like 1 or 2 lived, and they were so old and mangled that they just ended up dying out.
Okay.
And so it was just...
Well, it was just never explained, and like I was watching it with some other people, and they're like, "Ooh, how'd they kill those dragons?" And I was like, "Oh,
other dragons."
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting, and so he unveils the secret weapon, and to me, this was a wah, wah, wah.
I don't know. I think the invention of a scorpion's pretty cool. I mean, it's like
when I watched this scene, I was like, I was expecting something a little bit more.
It's medieval times. What
we're talking about? This we have magic, mysticism, we have dragonfire, we have all these things, these amazing explosives, all these great defensives that have always come up in the past to be able to save.
Yeah.
And you come up with a
Scorpion.
big crossbow.
Well, I mean, did you see The Hobbit? Have you seen any other medieval movie with dragons?
My next thing was The Hobbit. And guess what? How many times did he shoot that thing before he actually hit it?
And he did at least have a cool black arrow.
I mean, at least the Hobbits looked more affordable, you know.
But I mean,
affordable.
Qyburn,
Just like for sale,
yeah,
you know, formidable. This one, I mean, to me, yeah, you shoot it into a non-moving, non-animated object, and it penetrated the skull. Great.
Didn't have anything to do with the scales or anything.
Exactly. And yes, a spear did wound a dragon, you know, at
but
Marine.
it only did its wings, and that was the interesting part.
I was like, I was just expecting a little bit something a little more grandioso. To me, I mean,
I can accept that, but to me, it was just like he invented a scorpion. You know, I mean, there's no other recorded history of this, and so I was like, that's pretty cool. You know, this is how we got this weapon.
Are we to say this is the only one?
I mean, in my opinion,
to me, if he's like, they're working around the clock and we'll have 20 of them around the castle for when it comes, you know. Now, if you had multiple of these, now we're talking.
I mean, I think they're going to have at least, like you said.
If there is just one that unfolds and
you're
shooting darts out there at 3 dragons, okay,
with
whoever brave souls running this thing is going to be crispy
in
no time.
I mean, that thing's going to be melted in a hurry.
I mean, that's what I'm getting at. Like, it alone is a want.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm envisioning
numbers. Yeah, with a plan, it's a little more exciting. But when you just pull the tarp off, and it was underwhelming for me.
Okay,
and it was one of the biggest topics that we got to when we were talking about social media stuff. We were talking to people. I was like, "What'd you think of that? What'd you think?" I was like, You know, most people were not for it. You know, now they thought it was cool to see. Now everybody in the world thought the skull was the coolest.
That thing was
prop
huge.
you've ever seen.
How big was that skull? Like,
yes, it was quite impressive.
Yeah, but like to me, like when I saw it, like in my head, I immediately envisioned like 30 to 50 of these things set up all over the city with 500 archers. You know, you're releasing the arrows and then these behind it, so the dragons can't really dodge it, and you just have a wall. Most aren't going to affect you, but those other ones sneaking behind the arrows, so they can't really dodge it. And so, like, that's how I envisioned it as soon as I saw it.
Well, I'm very curious to see how they're going to make that really, really.
And we got to remember, Drogon's really the only dragon that is big and, scaled and everything because he's been growing. Whereas Viserion and I forget the other one's name. But, they're not nearly as big because they were cooped up inside of the temple and everything. So they're not nearly as big or well developed. Which the dragons are now sleeping in Dragonstone inside of an active volcano, which is pretty cool.
Right.
And so, I mean, there's a lot of factors at play. These dragons aren't necessarily battle ready. Is she going to create armor for them? There's a lot of things that go on with this.
There's a lot of questions that have to be answered.
Mm-hmm.
There is no doubt. No doubt. All right. So, the story moves again, and
wait, are we going to get back to Tarly or no? Because I wanted to see, like, do you think he's going to side with the Lannisters? Like, do you think
I think that was already decided.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when he said, "I'm going back to ready my troops," and so on.
Like, to me, like, he never gave any indication.
He was never really clear.
Yeah.
But, no. I mean, I think it was pretty cut and dry that he's going to do what he does. I think the biggest deal with him is that in his mind, just like that meme is that he does not like foreigners. His hate for foreigners and the unworthy is more passion to him than whether or not Cersei is realistically.
But then we get back to the Queen of Thorns, and it's like, I don't trust clever men, but she essentially trusts Tarly. And so if that's her undoing, that's pretty cool.
We'll see. That's what I'm saying. To me, I think Tarly is on the Cersei clan.
Yep.
I mean,
same here.
I mean, he's what he said. I don't see any other reason, and so on. Earlier we talked about the council meeting and the plan, and Queen said be a dragon, and then we get a situation where Missandei visits Grey Worm, and we
Made
get
it
the
greatest
most
episode ever.
We get a lot of people were controversial. A lot of people were like, "This is so great." Some people were like, "Wow, that took way too long." There was a lot of different chatter on this. Bottom line is, Worm and Miss Sandy finally expressed their feelings, and we get I'm not going to be shy. Miss Sandy is a fine woman.
Oh my God, most beautiful woman on the show.
I mean, it was
Made the episode for me.
not to sound gross, but she was
gorgeous.
Impressive.
Yeah.
She was quite impressive. I hate to say it, but the entire time I'm just like, how's this going to work? I was really nervous that they were going to show.
Well, because now I'm trying to think. I know they say they cut off everything.
Yeah,
but
my understanding is there is no Bean Franks.
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty much a mirror image of each other.
And so, but then, as he was climbing on top of her, he went all the way up. There was still something there, and I was like, this is really confusing.
I know it. I know it, and I hate to say I'm watching this whole scene. I'm just like,
you wanted to see it.
I didn't, but I was like, are they gonna do something to kind of give us something? And something I was really pleased to see that he kissed and worked his way down. It's where basically what he's got to bring to the table.
Well, apparently everyone's first time in Westeros, you're just a master at oral. Apparently there's a book that everybody reads at birth or something.
Well,
Jon Snow, never had sex before, world's greatest oral person. Pod, world's greatest. Grey Worm.
I mean, evidently it's just natural in Westeros. Yeah. It's in the genes.
It must be it's the second tongue. Whatever talks about it, it's the second tongue.
Second tongue. But I had news for you. There was a lot of folks like, okay, that sex scene was way drawn out. And I was like,
this is Game of Thrones. It's what they do.
It's been building this sexual tension for this situation for a long time.
At least 3 seasons.
Exactly. I remember when they were at the river and she was partially naked and he was staring at her, and it was that kind of are you a perv or are you in love with me kind of situation.
Yep. Apparently he was in love.
It took 3 seasons before we got to something. And so to me, I was like, long overdue. And if you made it 5 seconds, I think that would be underwhelming and then, like you said, not respectful.
Then, like you said on social media, we don't know when we're going to get both of them back together again.
Well, here's the part. This second folded situation. I think the reason they showed us is we're going to lose Grey Worm.
There's a good chance.
I'm going to tell you, every time they do something to make you love a character or a connection with a character, they tear your heart out.
Oh, man.
That's just the reality of it.
I will be devastated if we lose Grey Worm. I know he doesn't bring too much to the show or anything, but I like knowing that he's there.
I'm going to tell you right now, I got a strong prediction here that Dany is not going to be half of what she thought she was going into the situation. And that's the reason we're going to have another season and so on. His bottom line is that she rolled into town with enough to wipe out everything. And within 2 episodes this season, we've lost the Dornish.
That's not...
Well, they're not where they need. Part of the plan has gone to... We've lost 50 ships in Yara. Grey Worm is... And Grey Worm's possibly heading to Castle Rock to his death, and she's going to lose the hand and possibly lose your hand. Your Tyrion. If he's there. So,
but you could gain the north,
and you start losing things in the south and the west, but then you end up gaining the north. But then the north's got an alternative motive.
True, but also let's be honest. You release 3 dragons, you win the war.
This is true.
So
it's your fail-safe.
Yeah, I mean. If at any point she decides she doesn't want a weird pseudo-democracy, because she's trying to delude herself into thinking that the people are just going to kind of vote her in, even though it's still a dictatorship. And so she's just got to get past that part and just accept that it's a dictatorship. They'll just learn to love me and just unleash the dragons.
Right. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see on that. We cut back to Sam. And he's talking to the headmaester, and the maester talks about how he's writing a book about Robert's rebellions and so on. And he's like, he's bashing him on this, man.
I rewound this thing 4 times, and I still didn't catch the title because I fell asleep by the 4th word every time.
Well, it was terrible. And then Sam's like, well, I think it's a little more poetic. Hence, Song, Fire, and Ice, And this is where my buddy Derek came in there. Is like, his theory is that Sam is going to be your final character, and he's the guy who ends up finishing the book to discuss what the show has created.
Okay.
And like that. And I was kind of like, I could totally see that. totally see it. Because to be honest with you, I don't see Sam leaving where he is, and this is what his.
Oh, he's leaving the Citadel.
You sure?
Oh, he's 100% leaving the Citadel. I mean, I have no knowledge or foresight. There's just no way that he ends.
I don't know. I mean,
no, because it's like one of those things where as soon as the Maces are going to be done, I think they're all going to get wiped off the map. And
I wouldn't go with all that because we're the memories of this world and all that kind of stuff. Them
all
getting
done.
decimated.
Exactly. Him saying it's like we're the main focus. We're the most important
farthest
people.
away from everything.
War does funny things.
They're in the southwest corner. They're nowhere near anything.
There's a lot of funny theory or of conspiracy theories behind.
Everybody else will have to be wiped out before they get to them.
I'm throwing it out.
Putting it out there.
After next year,
you're flinging against the wall, but I don't see it sticking.
Okay, we'll come back.
We'll come back to that. So anyway, it ends up. Jorah's in his room after the guy said, "Well, we're going to let you stay another night. You might want to just go ahead and slash throat with that blade over there."
Pretty savage.
There you go.
Most people, I'd go ahead and send them over to the Grey Island and everything. I'll let you decide. And then Cameron lingers on this sword. I was like, did you just, yeah? You want to leave him some rope?
Yeah, really. Yeah. How about a pill?
Yeah.
So Jorah's in there writing a letter, and I freeze framed it for a second. Of course, I looked in it, and somebody figured it out, and it says, basically, you were always the love of my life. So it's basically his goodbye letter to Khaleesi.
Did you have a problem with him writing Khaleesi?
I didn't. I think that's what he's known her as in the beginning.
But
what kills me is that he goes, he's like, as the Dragon Queen landed,
Exactly. Like, he's not paying her any respect.
But that's what he is known her as.
Slap Queen on it, put some respect on her name. That I had a problem with it.
It was the pet name.
He didn't never have any right to have a pet name for her.
Yeah, but you know what? What never made him happy when he was doing his dying declaration.
I don't care about his happiness.
Whatever. So anyway, Sam comes in with this cart of goodies, which look like they're all covered in tetanus and
I want nothing to do with
staff and everything else. And I'm just like, and he's got the same rubber gloves he looks like he was cleaning the shit with.
Okay, but there is something that dawned on me. I'm sorry. Like, we're talking about him getting ready to cure the grayscale. I think I know. So the head maester that Sam's following around claims, like, we wrapped it up as soon as she was got the grayscale, and we were able to cure it because we caught it early. But in the book that Sam was reading back in the first episode of this season, it said that dragonglass cured.
Yeah, it can cure
grayscale. She was in Dragonstone when they cured her, and they have all of that dragonglass there. So I think
it's 1 + 1 = 2. Yeah.
I think it was the dragonglass that cured her. Nothing else. It was just her being around it and probably rolling on it and all those things.
Well, yeah. The place is built on the entire thing is a giant mountain of dragonglass.
But it never comes out and says it. And so it's like,
I think that's where you're supposed to assume that's where it makes sense.
And so, like, why isn't Sam trying to be like, yo, homie, let's give you some dragonglass? Because there's got to be some in the Citadel.
You would think, but it seems like he has limited access. And so, I know he's got this key and got these 1 books, but...
the man just read dragonglass cures. He should try to be like, hey... you should probably try to get the Dragonstone.
Well, maybe what whatever Sam's doing is not the cure, but is going to slow the process down.
He's got 6 months to try to figure it out. Before he loses his mind. After the first peeling of this scale, I'm out.
I'm gonna be honest with you. When he opened, he's like, "Drink this and bite this."
What's that? It's rum. It's gonna be painful. Drink the whole thing. Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna need you.
I was just kind of.
I didn't expect pus and like oozy.
When he first
cream.
cut into him, and it looked like it was severely infected. I'm thank the Lord it was not dinner time.
Yeah, I have no idea what this was supposed. I don't know what I thought.
Yeah, to me, I was expecting like a flaky skin, something like that. Where if you took a fish scaler and you just kind of rub it against it.
That's what it is. Just sandpaper.
Instead, it was disturbing.
Oh, and
then he cuts a fillet off of him. And I was just like,
I was struggling.
I was too.
I was hoping for the
I'm
poop
gonna be honest
montage.
with you, Jorah, the actor, screaming and the way he's chewing on leather. I was just like, dude.
And I love how
money.
Every time he's starting to scream, so it's like shh.
Yeah, you're cutting my nipple off. I mean, Jesus.
And then it's he's individually snapping the pus out of each single one. And I was like, Sam,
stop it.
You've got 5 hours. You got to speed this up, man.
And to me, there was a little bitty blade on that tool
mm-hmm.
where he was just sawing. I mean, come on.
Ugh.
Did you not have a sharper? Can you go get the grinding stone and
Yeah.
make that thing a real blade?
There's a sword right there.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. And then
one of the greatest transitions I've ever seen.
Again, one of the I'm sorry. When they did that pus and then you see homeboy bite into the hot pie. I
threw up.
It was awful.
Yeah, I was done. And
my wife looked at me and goes, I got to take a break. Oh God, it was, man.
But I gotta say, this was not one of my favorite scenes. Arya was just so robotic that.
You know what this scene was? How much can we emulate the Hound?
Oh.
You know what it was? That's what it was.
Yeah, that.
How much can we look like a savage like he is?
And that's that's definitely what she was.
Because, I mean, she was picking it up and snarling at it and drooling and
just
dropping ale like it's going out of style. And
just tearing into the bread, throwing her whole body into it and everything. No, I like where you're at now. That changes the scene a little bit for me.
Yeah, I mean, and then to see Hot Pie show up. And
well, no, I think she was there to see Hot Pie.
And
without a doubt.
Yeah, this is where you get the moral dilemma of you got to make a choice, and he lets her know that the Boltons are dead, and John is the. So you're going to follow the list, or are you going to go back and see your brother?
Okay, well, I have a big problem with this. So you're telling me she kills Walder Frey, hangs out for 2 weeks, gets all this information, never hears that John's the king of the North, never hears that the Boltons are dead. In the Riverlands, travels, none. Ed Sheeran and his band of singers haven't come up with the song of this yet. And then Hot Pie randomly knows about it. And he's even further south than she is. That's bad.
Again, it's where your geological location means nothing in the show.
But even still, she was running a castle. She was running the Twids for 2 weeks. And no one mentioned that the Boltons had died?
I don't know.
It just doesn't make sense. And that's a big continuity error that...
SMH, I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things you don't initially think about it, but then after...
when we talked about the whole ships going here and going there, and it's not possible, they walk by all that stuff. This is just another example where the show is moving in a direction, and you just can't make everything make sense if you have a background knowledge of where things are and and so on. So
shout out to Hot Pie getting a check. It was great to see you again.
Yeah,
but that information just should not have been able to come from me.
Well, it's the only way to keep Arya going in different directions. Yep. So Arya makes the decision that she's going to go back to Winterfell to meet Johnny Boy.
Well, she thinks now. So do you think that she's going to see John on the road and go with John, or they somehow don't pass and she just meets up with Sansa?
Just Sansa.
Okay.
Yeah, they won't see each other. There's no doubt.
I think I really wanted to be with John because they just connected so much better.
I mean, I hear you. I could see Sansa and Arya formulating their own plans with John's absence, and that doesn't quite gel what John would want, causing some.
I can't
issue.
Because Arya and John were like brother and sister.
Right.
Her and Sansa never. I mean, I know they'll be together. It's oh my God, we're sisters, we're family. Like Sansa and John.
I don't think anybody's going to believe Arya that she's not
going to tell anybody.
She's a calculating weapon.
John will. I 100% believe John will.
But would he use her?
No.
That's the other part is that you have this amazing weapon that killed all the Freys single-handedly. So, I don't know.
The secret's browning the butter before you put it in the dough. I didn't do that. Oh, you've been baking one or two.
All right, so Arya is going through the woods, and of course, we were all licking our chops, knowing this was coming. And we get surrounded by the wolf pack, and of course, the beautiful and amazing Nymeria.
Oh my God.
This scene. And see, remember when we talked about how the preview for last week, I was like, that damn wolf is not Nymeria. It's not big enough. Like that. And Jake's over there arguing with me about, well, it's just all about the angle. We have nothing to compare it against. And I was like, bullshit. And then, guess what? This was just one of the little ones of the pack.
Yeah.
You turn around and see Nymeria, and you see the real deal.
Yeah, you see her standing on a full-grown oak.
Yeah.
It's just
that look.
Yes.
Them eyes and the snarl. Let me tell you, pucker your butthole real quick.
I was done. I was like, I'm terrified. I'm not moving. And then Arya just calmly drops Stinger and everything. And it was like, come with me.
Drops needle.
I don't know why I call it
Stinger.
The Hobbit. We were talking about Hobbit earlier, man.
Slap yourself.
We were talking about Hobbit earlier.
Yeah, and, she realizes Nymeria, and then Nymeria kind of realizes it's her, and you can realize that the wolf they presented the first time, and then the dog they used for the second scene was different. Did you notice it? It was two different animals. But they did such a good close-up job to try to make it where you didn't see it.
Yeah, because apparently, these are harder to do than dragons.
Obviously. Well, we don't want to get Twilight.
Oh God!
Giant wolves.
We'll save those.
That's Jake's favorite show, and I know he's really upset we're talking about without him.
I mean, he just wants to dive into it every time.
I mean, golly.
Guys, the excitement this guy gets from it's just too much.
Patterson, his lover boy. But the scene was really cool. At the end of the episode, DB and they talk about this scene
and the importance of it,
And because to me the scene was disappointing.
Yeah.
Because I want Nymeria and the group to be a part of the war, be a part of the storyline. Sadly, this scene kind of tells me that this was the money we spent on Wolf CG, and that's over.
No, I think that she's still going to play a big role into this.
I don't see it at all. I think it's just another example of Dawn. You get to see it for the viewers and the book readers. Hey, we put it in there. There's your Easter egg. There it is, and we're not going to see it again. We got Nymeria, and that's the whole reason they got on the show afterwards to let you know is that hey, Nymeria's going to do its own thing. It's not in the battle anymore. It's not her. It's not her wolf anymore.
I'm putting even more. Well, sell me all of your direwolf stock, and I will buy all of it because Nymeria is still going to play a huge role.
I'm just telling you right now.
Hey,
you're going down in flames.
Sell me all that
Bankruptcy
stock.
is in your future, my friend.
Anybody who wants to sell me their Nymeria stock, send it to BleedTV@gmail.com. I'll take it. Doubling down on all of it.
You'll be living on the street.
Hey, at least I'll have a direwolf.
Let's get to the big part.
Okay.
The last scene starts off with Yara.
Also, didn't see any of this coming.
When it got to where they were on the boat, remember last year, of course, I'm going to go ahead and tear my rotator cuff to pat myself on the back because the outcome of this episode was exactly what I predicted.
Oh, my God.
So, thank you. Okay. Anybody who's a BleedTV podcast listener, that's right. Zach predicted who would be the precious gift.
But
anyway,
at no point in time was it realistic, given the information that we had.
I thought it was pretty realistic to me.
No.
No,
not at all.
That's
not the slightest.
Yeah, your envy is a stinky cologne.
He was supposed to have already been gone.
No comment.
And there was no reason for him to know.
I understand that. I get that. Let's talk about the scene.
Okay.
Yara and I always call her mistress.
Yeah.
Like that. We have this interesting conversation where basically they let you know, hey, we're by. It's all good. This immediately gets Miss Sand a little excited, and we go over into exploration between the legs and having a good old time.
Poor Theon. Yeah. First he gets subdued to all of that and stuff, and then his sister hits him with the MJ shrug, sorry, bro.
Yeah, really. Get me some here.
Good to be me.
Right. Well, I mean, Theon could look at her and go, "Well, I've had it first." You know, if you remember when Theon came back to the Outer Islands, he copped him a feel or two with his own sister, not realizing it.
Which is really weird because she still realized it and
let it happen. And
there's a lot of incest on the show.
There's no doubt.
Okay. But
anyway, moving this along.
Also, this kiss was not in the script. They just improv'd it.
You know, I kind of felt like Yara was a little hesitant in the scene. Did you notice that? Like, it was like, oh, what are you doing? Okay, I'm going to roll this.
Well, then, like, she was like, she just started kissing me. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait, she's gorgeous. Why don't I want to kiss her? And then even the stunt double, because she ended up hurting her back, Yara did. And so then the stunt double had to do it. And then she was, Mama Sand was like, yeah, she just wasn't prepared. It was like she's ready for to do all these stunts, these flips and stuff. And then she was making out with me. And so
broke her.
The stunt double will be like, oh no, the one thing I can't do. But yeah, so
yeah, their little love escapade gets interrupted, and they're being there's a concussive event happening, and the ship's under attack. And now they are in the pitch black. There is no lights anywhere around.
Nope.
You know, there's not even lanterns on other ships. You know what I mean? Like, you barely see the cast shadows of other ships.
And so, were Yara's ships docked? Because it seemed like they weren't really moving.
It doesn't give you a good enough reference point to tell you.
Because, we have to assume that they had already set sail. Otherwise, the dragons would be there.
Correct.
But, like, they were lounging like they were docked because, like, there was no one on the top, no one keeping an eye out.
These boats don't move as fast as Littlefinger's carriage.
No.
Okay, we're not talking warp speed here. Obviously, you're going to be at sea for a while to get to Dorne. They're probably not even past the fingers yet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're probably docked beside one of the fingers.
Oh, it looked like it.
Yeah, and so suddenly you see Silence come out of nowhere, the most badass ship on the show. And
this was possibly one of the most badass ships I've seen in television history.
Pretty impressive.
Like, that jaw coming down.
Yeah, I mean,
the coolest way to ever board a ship. Like, Pirates of the Caribbean, watch this. Take that if you
take notes.
Yeah, if you're going to inject us to another pirate, give us this. This is how you board a ship.
Yeah. With the most crazy lunatic you've ever seen.
Look, I've been bashing Euron for...
He's a player.
Dude, sell me your Euron stock too. I'm buying that, all of it.
Yeah, homeboy lands. They show it impale the ship.
Yes,
which immobilizes it, and then he drops the drawbridge, which is the squid's jaw of the or octopus, whatever you want to call it. To me, it's a squid. That's what's supposed to be a squid. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. And it drops down and lands on it with Euron on there with his battle axe, which was pretty sick looking, and decent armor, and they just take off. And
the only thing he was missing was a guitar. Like, if he had a guitar,
where was the bass and the drums in the background?
Where's the Well, the music that they used was for him coming in
was sweet,
fantastic.
It was well thought out. Probably my favorite ever oceanic battle scene between boats.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Of course, people have seen Master and Commander, this, that, or so on, blah, blah, blah. But like the boarding of a ship and going at it with the lighting effects,
I wanted to ask you, how did you feel about them using dark lighting?
To me, I think it's what made that scene that much better.
Okay.
Because I think if it was bright, it would have been like Pirates of the Caribbean, hokey.
Yep.
You know what I mean? To me, having those shadows and different things and the way they were moving the cameras back and forth, close in, close out, the way they made the individual fights more promising, more plausible, And what I did love is that you did see people getting hit from behind that were in battle engaged.
Yep.
You were seeing people having to defend themselves from different directions. They were just one-on-one next, one-on-one next, one-on-one, which is so blah and everything else. And so when you see... Now, Yara and Greyjoy were, out there taking care of business and doing well, but they were still taking hits and they were still bleeding and all that stuff. But then when the Sand Sisters came out, to me, the Sand Sisters are supposed to be some of the most formidable, deadly fighters there are.
I mean, they're right underneath Oberyn. Like,
Right.
I mean, they are easily some of the best warriors in the land.
Exactly, and especially when they have their weapons of choice.
Mm-hmm.
I think what the deal is that you were on Euron's turf of being on a boat.
Yes.
So that right there does change things a little bit.
Well, and also part of the problem is in the TV show, they have not been these great warriors. They have been very
I'm
lackluster.
gonna be honest with you. The two Sand Sisters going was like an applause moment to me.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, the actors, the accents, what they've been on screen, they should have died a long time ago.
Oh, easily. Jamie should have killed him when they were trying to steal
really,
Marcella.
they should have fell on their own swords. But anyway, this battle scene between the two Sand Sisters, this was a 50-50 split with a lot of our fans of whether or not this was really Euron is just that formidable or this was just a really weak fight.
I think it was Euron's that formidable. Because the Sand Sisters, to me, they really showed out in this battle.
Here's the one thing about this. I think Euron, the way they did the battle that made me real happy is that one Sand Sister was carrying the whip and one was carrying the spear.
Which
on a ship are not your two best weapons.
That's what I was about to say. It was like, if I could think of the worst weapon possible on a ship, it's going to be a whip.
Especially considering you're surrounded
Yeah,
by men like that. That is not a weapon. That's a one-on-one. You got a great advantage. When you're on a ship surrounded, you see what it did. I mean,
you can't go as high up. You can't reach back.
And every time you did get a hold of Euron, it was a delay, a hold, it pulled to you, whatever. So really, his only battle was between a spear and a contained space, which you pretty much know.
Yeah, you need a short sword, a hammer.
Right. And so I think that did really, really well. And
it was like,
when he stabbed her twice and then lift her up and stuff like that, I was applauding. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, yes.
And went underneath the armor and like hooked her and lifted her. I was like, Jesus. Like,
yes.
Do you think Euron's gonna be as bad as Ramsay by the end of it? He's sadistic. Like, there's no.
I think they played that card already.
Okay.
I don't think they go that route.
You don't think they let him get that?
No, I think he's more about the glory hound. Look what I've done.
Very possible.
That's what he is. So then he kills the other one by hanging her, which was with her own whip.
Yep.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
I would have rather her been cut down with an axe, and she's what's being left of her hanging from the front.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's
okay. So was she the one that was hanging at the end of it?
Correct.
Okay.
The whip was hung by her whip, and the one that carries the spear was speared to the front of the ship. So I mean, it was prove a point, killed with your own weapons.
Oh, I see. I thought that was Yara and
no, that was the two Sand Sisters used as an example. Those ships ship's probably left there for the Dorns to find to see.
Okay. See, I thought Yara was the one hanging off. And
Yara and the mistress
are still alive.
and the young Sand are the gifts.
Okay.
Okay, that's the whole deal. Now, what Cersei does to these jokers, there's no telling. But see, Yara is Euron's prize.
Yes.
The Sands, the sister and the mother, are Cersei's prize, which is crazy. Now, I did some little reading on the Sand Sisters. One of the Sand Sisters is on the show Iron Fist. Now, you watched a little bit of Iron Fist, didn't you?
Never started it.
I always heard it was absolutely atrocious.
Yeah.
But she, get this now. She was a conflict. She was taping Iron Fist, doing the show over there, and D&D wanted her to come back to die on Game of Thrones to finish out the characters. Otherwise, it was just going to have to be a disappearing act.
I mean, Dorne was a disappearing act. So.
Right, exactly. And so they moved schedules around where she came on weekends for several weeks. So, and they flew her back and forth for where she was in the United States over to Europe.
So great. Our direwolf fund went to her airfare. Wonderful.
Exactly.
Great.
Exactly. The reason we will not have Nymeria was to make sure that we had one Sand Sister get speared to death.
Thanks a lot.
You know what I mean? So
thanks a lot, Dorne.
Way to go. HBO quality spending of their funds to get to have this scene. Don't get me wrong. Now, I love the scene and I applaud. But I just, there you go.
It was like Cassie, even Tyrion Lannister flies coach.
Exactly. So when you see that, then you see the aftermath. You see, the master coming down, things are on fire, and then you get this scene with Yara and Euron battling it out, and he ends up getting the best of her. And This is when we don't have Greyjoy. We have
Reek.
And he
didn't immediately, like, as soon as he started seeing all the carnage, it was like flashbacks for Ramsay. I was like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. We've worked so hard for you.
Speaking of the carnage, did you see the callbacks for the carnage?
Mm.
What were they doing to each one of the guys that they had killed on the boat? Did you see it?
No.
They were cutting their tongues out.
Oh, for silence, because that's
silence. And if you remember, when Euron first showed up and killed his brother, his brother proclaimed, "You are a madman. You cut the tongues out of your own crew members on your ship." And he goes, "I needed silence."
Yep.
And so they were cutting the tongues out of all the guys on the ship. And like that. I thought that was a cool little throwback.
Because that's the name. That's the name of his ship and everything, and that's very much his identity.
Right. I'm gonna be honest with you. That is well written when you name your ship Silence, and this is the reason why.
Yeah.
That is a brutality level that is.
And that's
epic.
why I was saying, like, it's very easy for him to get to that Ramsay Bolton level of sadism. And I mean, it started with Joffrey, then it went to Ramsay, and it could get potentially worse with Euron. But I like where you're thinking is, like, it's hard to keep playing that card and getting worse and worse and worse. Because there's only so much before there's just a penultimate backlash.
Right. So, Reek.
Yeah.
He folds.
And
I'm going to be honest with you. To me, this was a smart decision.
Yeah,
I mean, he was like, what a chump. You didn't try to go save your sister.
It was survival. As soon as because if he makes a move, he's just going to slit her throat.
Exactly. Right? That was the first thing I was like, don't take a step towards him. By you taking a step, he is going to slice her throat just to have that satisfaction of your horror. And if he's not afraid to kill his own brother to take like this right here is his way to prove to his men that it's his own niece and nephew. I'm gonna slice their throats. Yep. You know. So to me, him jumping overboard was the smartest decision.
Like the way I was like, as soon as he ended up doing it, because I was like, don't do it. Then I was like, wait, maybe he jumped off. He looks at it as, I can let her live a little bit. Then I'm going to sneak back up on the boat and then rescue her. But then he just stayed in the water, and I was like, fucking Reek. Yeah. Like, come on.
You know what? Run, live another day, complain again, try again.
I mean, but like, how many other days does he have left now? Like, there's nowhere for him to go.
Right. Well, I think
can't
it's
go
a
back
testament
to
his character, though. He's not. He was. Yeah. He says he was this, that, or so on. But as soon as he sees it, you can't just forget what he went through.
No. I mean, that's PTSD.
If he went at him and guns a blazing, or what do you want to call it, swinging swords, then they're both dead, and it was meh.
But I mean, like, he could have made it valiant by going back and trying to save her.
He could have.
But now it's like,
and then he would be hanging on the front of the boat.
Well, yeah, but now I don't see any way we can work his character back into the show.
Well, he maybe he gets a renewed spirit to go back after
a fourth one. I mean,
I know it.
You can't redeem a redemption.
No, I know.
Like, I mean, I just don't see. Like, if we see Theon again, why?
I don't know.
I mean,
I really don't know what that means for him.
I mean, he might as well just pull a Jack and let go.
Hang out with Nymeria, since neither one of them are going to be on camera much anymore.
Hey, Nymeria, you need a snack? You like ribs?
Yeah, there you go. So, and then credits.
Yep.
And that's the episode.
Now, I believe we have one more long episode, and then it goes to 2 shorter episodes before 6 and 7 are the super long ones.
Yeah, I know we got some 90-minute ones at the end.
And so, like, I think next one is our last, like, 59-minute episode.
Possibly. Yeah, I have to look it up, but...
But I mean, overall, like, what'd you think of the episode? Like, I mean, I'm sitting at like
strong
7.5, 8.
No, it was every bit of an 8 for me. Between the council, the development, the skull they show you,
all the like callbacks and everything, all the like finally seeing these characters that we've been waiting to meet,
right?
And like having different connections that are about to make the same connection. I'm like, I'm ready.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of things here that were pretty cool, that were callbacks to the earlier season that I really enjoyed, that I picked up on immediately. I thought that was really cool. And I was happy to see that there's a possibility of having my man Jorah come back into the fold. I was happy to see that we're moving the Jon thing away from Winterfell to actually getting to some movement.
Yep.
I was really happy to see Miss Sandy and Grey Worm kind of
Finally get it
connect,
on,
even
yeah.
though I feel like it has a disastrous future. The War Council was epic. And then, of course, the surprise battle at the end.
Did not see
seeing
it coming.
Silence and Euron. We meet a new character at the latter end of last season and this, and he's already one of the best villains on the show.
He is the villain on the show. Like, I mean, some will say Cersei and everything, but she's not going to be doing anything
She's not
anymore.
an active participant.
Yeah. She's not going to be going out in these battles and everything.
Right. Well, she doesn't get her hands dirty. You know,
She blew up the Sept, so I mean, she gets some pretty dirty.
She was drinking wine and watching the fireworks. Okay, give me a break.
Hey, no, you're right.
Yeah,
She pulled a Tywin. She's sitting behind a desk writing some letters.
You keep buying Nymeria stock over there, and we'll go from there.
Hey, that stock's going to pay off. That stock is going to pay off.
Whatever. But anyway, what do we want to talk about at the end? Which is, there's nothing spoilery because everything's conjecture now. But my theory on Traitor. Okay.
Oh, so you think there's a traitor? All
right. The theory is out there is that the only way Euron is being able to be accomplishing what he's doing, the only reason that things have not gone as well and had the potential of Castle Rock being waiting on them on the Unsullied and Tyrion, because the preview made it look like Castle Rock was waiting on them.
Okay.
Now, don't get me wrong. Doing the research on Castle Rock, the reason it's so formidable is because it's on the top of a mountain. It's surrounded by ocean on 3 sides, and there's no way to ambush it based on its geographic location and how it's designed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's never been sieged. It's always been its own. And so you're talking about a very, very difficult place to take over. And we've never seen it on screen and so on. So it's going to be very curious. To me, this is another recipe for disaster. And the reason the show would be so good is because at the end of last season, you're looking at Daenerys is going to steamroll Westeros. Well, no, we're going to peel back layers and realize that the only thing they got going for them is a dragon they don't want to use.
Yep.
And so I think next episode is going to be a heartbreaking, that we're going to lose Grey Worm, or they're going to get destroyed, or the Unsullied is not going to be what they think it is. And that Tyrion is going to, instead of, he's been on the high horse in his cunning plan, and it's going to fall apart. You're going to realize that Yara and the Sands are going to be used as a spectacle of power, and people are going to be like getting behind Cersei now because this is their way of showing, hey, we've already destroyed part of their armada.
Yep.
And Euron's going to have all his glory and be the glory dog and all this kind of stuff. But I think a big part of this is that there's got to be somebody. There's a big, strong possibility. There's a turncoat.
Okay.
And at that War Council table, who is the person who could possibly be a turncoat?
There used to be rumors of Missandei being a turncoat. I don't know if we've talked about it on the pod or not, but I know I've had conversations with people. Yeah. But since you think Grey Worm's in a demise, I'm going to knock Missandei out of it.
I don't think Missandei is it. I'm going to give her 0% chance.
I'm going to give
Grey Worm 0% chance. Tyrion 0% chance.
Not 0, but I don't think that he's the turncoat. But I mean, he's sneaky, he's cunning. He's got an ulterior motive, like I've already stated, like him gaining the most out of this plan. Okay. But I mean, I would like 15%.
All right, Yara.
Negative. 6 feet under, like dead.
All right.
Mama saying same right there with Yara, like not.
No. And my
so
pick,
Varys,
no. My pick is the Queen of Thorns.
That doesn't. Okay, well,
here's the deal.
In your defense,
the Queen of Thorns wants revenge for the death of her family. She puts out there that be careful of clever men.
Yep.
The reason I'm alive is because I ignore them and be who I am. When she does what she wants to do, she's a pretty formidable foe.
Very formidable.
Okay. So she is the last to agree to the plan.
Yes. And doesn't really agree.
She is the first one to tell her, don't listen to your advisors. Do what you need to be doing, which would basically say, go in there and burn that mother down. I want that entire place gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so on. But that's not the ultimate decision. She could benefit by making her plan fail forcing her hand to use her dragons to do what she wants her to do and destroy King's Landing and Cersei because of what they did, and that's where her children died and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I'm still not buying it.
I'm not buying it either, but if anybody at that table, she's my most likely to have an alternative motive based on what you've seen and shown of her to possibly be the traitor. That's my theory.
Yeah.
Do I think there's a traitor in the mist? Not really.
Yeah, I'm going with there's not a traitor. Like,
I don't think there's a traitor at all. I just think that Euron.
Actually, you know who the traitor is? Our continuity person. That's the real traitor.
Okay, we drew a map, but we can't follow it.
Yeah.
Because Euron can travel wherever he wants to undetected when he has to go around Dragonstone to do any of these things.
Pretty much.
Because, I mean, he had to go back by Dragonstone to go catch Yara. Or he caught Yara at Dragonstone, which means he would be dragon bait, which is complete crap too. And he had to, it just there's no way.
No.
I mean, you travel the Cloak of Night, give me a break. There's still a half hour armada over there.
That would have seen you come.
It's just give me a break.
Yeah.
That's the whole deal.
I mean, I think he just, because if there was anybody who would be able to find this fleet, it's Euron. I mean, the guy has sailed every body of water in the known world but one. He's collected all of these gifts. Like, I mean, I know we haven't shown a lot of them and stuff, but he has Valyrian steel armor. Like, not just swords and stuff, full suits of armor of Valyrian steel. You know, he has these special sailing things. It's known that his ships are faster than anybody's. He can almost control the wind. And so I think he just found him.
Yeah.
And like he just knew about it, or just our continuity director didn't say.
To me, it's the rule of cool.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about your real book. Will probably figure it out that that's really not where it goes because the way we put landing at King's Dragonstone and all that stuff. But the badass battleship scene we're gonna have is
just
gonna
makes up for it.
It makes up for it. That's the way it goes, and so on. So I mean, other than that, that's just kind of the preview just shows.
There's no point of seeing previews anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it shows
like,
Euron going through the city and he's treated like a, rock star, and then you can see Dany, and then you see the battle at Castle Rock. That's basically what you're dealing with. So it's gonna be very, very interesting to see how it goes from here. And then it's kind of the end of the episode. I hope that we've been abused by two people out there saying we need to have our pod out quicker, but Kelly Choi, I love you to death, girl. I really, really do, and stuff like that. But I promise you, we're getting out as fast as we can.
We're doing the best we can.
We're doing the best we can. I mean, I understand that you produce this amazing content out there in New York, and I know you're Emmy-winning and amazing producer and director, and we watch a lot of your stuff. And keep going with the coffee stuff, girl. That's pretty awesome. But we're getting it out there as fast as we can.
Exactly.
But props and. But other than that, man, I just. I love the show. I love what it's doing to what it's doing for HBO. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know. A lot of people know. I'm sure anybody who's a Game of Thrones fans, because everybody's heard it on social media and news, that D&D have announced their next show after Game of Thrones. Did you see that?
It's getting a lot of flack.
Yeah, in this time of our country, and
probably should have done the show like 20 years ago.
We're a show called The Confederate. To basically showing what life would be like in the South if the South had won the Civil War. But it's going to be modern day South after the Civil War.
I mean, I'm going to watch it just out of interest because this is where we live.
But here's the thing. To me, that's a niche.
Yeah.
Once you see what life's like,
well, I mean,
you're going to have to do a really good job of drawing you into characters to make you want to come back.
Well, and part of the problem is like the better concept is The Man in the High Castle, and that's on Amazon, and that's still not like crushing it or anything.
No, yeah, I mean,
that's what it is. It's just a different, instead of Nazis, we have the South.
Well, when you read that there's a high potential that modern slavery is still in existence, I think it's going to be a major turnoff.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. We shall see. I mean, it is Hollywood. You just never know. But I will be watching it and probably be potting it just because these guys have brought us such great stuff. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll watch the first episode and go from there.
We'll see there. Other than that, guys, again, appreciate you listening in.
Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, email, YouTube.
All that good stuff, man. Don't be shy. Let us know what you're thinking. Tell us what you thought of our thoughts and theories tonight. If we're way off base, or are we spot on, or we losers?
Let's be honest, we were spot on.
Yeah.
no need to tell us that.
My back hurts from patting it on. So you have to realize that. But other than that, guys, we really enjoy it, and we'll just catch y'all next week. This is BleedTV, and I'm Zach.
And I'm Cash.
And we're missing Jake, but oh well. We'll catch y'all next week.